I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Survivor fans, it is Survivor Thursday here in our studio. What's going on, guys? We definitely love doing the show the day after because it kind of lets us sit and marinate, get our thoughts together.
Yes.
I love doing the show on Thursday night, but you know what I love more than doing the show on Thursday night? Doing it with these people over here. Veronica Valencia returned from Edge of Extinction Island. She came back with 20 pieces of firewood, but where are they? Where are they, Veronica?
I burned them.
Just evil. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm glad you're here.
I am so glad to be here. I did not know. I thought I was going to be the only one here, to which I would have been the sole survivor.
But you are not.
But I am
Unfortunately,
not.
you are still in the race with me and this gentleman here. He was part of the Dream Team in Nicaragua and Cambodia. Steve Ganey, what's going on, man?
Oh my God, so happy to be back. This is so awesome. Happy to talk about Survivor. Oh my God, this season is amazing.
I'm really glad you're back too because we had you back last week, those of you who tuned in, and we didn't really get to pick your brain too much. So I'm hoping, like I said, you guys, little teaser, that we'll get you back for a few sporadic episodes from the rest of the season,
Absolutely.
so we can pick your brain all the way through. Overall thoughts of the episodes, you guys?
Aww. Guys, the last two episodes have been very difficult for me. I wasn't here last week, but I was devastated because Ethan went home. And then this episode, I know some of you in the chat, just shout out to our chat, to Victorious, Eric Olin, Thomas McGee, Nathan, Yesenia, Desiree, so many more of you. I know some of you in the chat were saying Edge of Extinction was too long. But it was so emotional just watching Ethan. I love Ethan. I liked that segment a whole lot. I liked the fact that Sele finally won because I wanted to see strategy go on at Dakal because they've been so happy. Overall, it was a great episode.
Yeah, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, with the Edge of Extinction, I feel like I'm going to be heartbroken every single week because I love all these players so much. I was like, wait a minute, who would I not be surprised if they went home? But yeah, I think that the Edge of Extinction was a long segment, but I was captivated the entire time. You know, every time Extinction goes a little long, I'm always like, I want to see what's going on with the strategy.
Yeah.
But this time I mean, shout out to the editors because that sequence was amazing.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh my God, with Ethan, he's looking up at the sun. He's like, oh my God, it was great. And then the way that the challenge played out with just this amazing comeback, and the tribal council threw me for a loop. I gotta say, I was fooled. I did not see that coming. You know, like I was like, I could see this going either way. So, this was a roller coaster for me.
Well, this is why it's a winter season. I agree with both of you completely. I mean, that Edge of Extinction Island, which we're going to dive into in a second, was phenomenal.
I love how you still call it Edge of Extinction Island.
I know, I do. It's like a habit
Trademark.
now. Edge of Extinction. Yeah, exactly. Edge of Extinction. And I mean, just an emotional wreck. That's what I was. And then, like you said, the very, very close call with the challenge, and then this tribal council, which was, you're right, it could have went either way. We also got our MVP segment at the end of the episode. You guys were going to pick the MVP of the episode. I think we're all going to have different opinions. So stay tuned for that. Let us know in the chat. For everybody who's viewing right now, thank you guys so much. So let's dive in, shall we? So we kind of pick up right after the vote last week where Ethan was voted off. Sorry, Veronica.
No.
And Adam, who was obviously left out of the vote because he keeps running his mouth, is kind of doing like an apology tour. He's got to do a lot of damage control. Were you guys surprised that he took the responsibility? Because a lot of people don't do this. Some people are like, I did what I did and blah, blah, blah. But Adam went and took the responsibility and goes on this, like I said, apology tour. Did you think that he should have done something different, or do you agree with him?
I agree with him, and to be perfectly honest, I think he had no choice but to do that because his game was outed. It was completely blown up. Everybody knew what he was up to. I think he had no choice but to apologize. And here's the sad thing about it is, Adam, you had to apologize either way. It would have been better if you just apologized, after the fact and they voted out Parvati instead of Ethan. You're doing some apologizing anyway. At least don't blow up your game in the process.
Yeah.
I think I kind of like watching Adam play from the bottom. You know, in his last season, he was scrambling a lot. I really had counted him out like pretty early on in the game.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that him playing from a point of confidence is a good look for him. And the one thing I love about his apology tour is that everyone's like, oh, look at him apologizing and he's like working really hard around camp. But they're not really thinking about that he's still strategizing. I think that's one thing that it draws attention to your actions and not what you're actually thinking. I will say, when he was on the beach talking to Boston Rob and Parvati, which Boston Rob immediately went and, started to sow some seeds of dissent. Adam, what are you doing? Don't go anywhere near Boston Rob or Parvati at this point, because he's like, I'm not buying any of it or whatever. And Boston, all he had to do was just walk right over to Cherry and Michelle and say, oh, this kid, there he goes again, running his mouth. I'm like, Adam, just stay in the shelter. Just get away.
Yeah, just stay low. Just lie low for a second. When you try to do something like this and it blows up in your face, you kind of have to lay low. I feel kind of bad for Adam because he had this entirely great plan to take out a power play, which is Poverty, because everybody thinks she's a threat. They're all threats. We've already discussed this. But Poverty is on another level right now, at least maybe because she's got this alliance with Rob. But Ethan was the one that went home. So now Adam can't even take credit for that because technically he had really nothing to do with with Ethan going home at all. I feel like that was all damage control and Rob picking which player he thought would be the winner. So if anybody's getting credit for this, it's Rob. Yeah. So Rob just took something that was bad that happened to him and turned it for the good, which, credit to him, but I do feel bad for Adam. Let's talk about Dakal really quick because I didn't realize how Edge of Extinction Island. I didn't realize how close Edge of Extinction was to these tribes. I didn't think that Dakal could see them. And they can, which I was like, that's kind of not that close, but you can see it, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that was kind of a spooky scene, They were just like out there like, wow, right there.
Yeah. And you see like the heat waves off of the water. Yeah. It's like a mirage. It was really weird.
I thought it was a little more, out there.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought they were maybe on like a different. I don't know why I thought it was an island, you guys. So it's a pretty much a circle. I don't know. Let's talk about this Edge of Extinction, okay? Because it's day 10. Amber, Natalie, Danny, and now Ethan are on this island together. And like you said, Steve, we get these Edge of Extinction segments where you're like, all right, moving on. We want to see gameplay. We want to see people who are actually still in the game and all this other stuff. But this one was different. They had a box. They had to pretty much get to the top of the hill, or the mountain, or whatever you want to call it. And they have to pretty much transport 20 pieces of firewood back down one at a time. Physically taxing. We've already seen how taxing it was from them doing it on other episodes. And in this episode, they would win a fire token for the person who does it first. Now, pretty much everybody's sitting there going, oh, that's easy. No, it's not easy. And it gets so physically taxing that Ethan has to pretty much step down. He's one of the last ones to finish. Kudos to the ladies, by the way. Very strong women on that tribe, or on Edge of Extinction. And, it just comes to this like realization, that Ethan has gone through a lot. And he says that to the camera. He's gone through cancer. He's gone through spinal taps. He's gone through, chemotherapy. And this is something that is on another level. How did you guys respond to this?
Oh gosh, this made me super, super emotional. Like family visits, psh, nah.
Right?
Like this one made me super emotional. I think it's because, first of all, Ethan, just as a contestant, always brought a very positive energy. He was always such a joy to watch as a viewer. And then to see him kind of reflecting on probably the darkest time in his life and just comparing it to, I'm not going to give up, I'm going to keep going, and just watching him how even though he was nearly going to faint, he still wanted to continue and he was going to do it no matter what. It was super emotional. And I think watching someone who, has that kind of light and energy just makes it even better.
And strength.
Yeah, I thought that this whole sequence, it went on for a long time. I think this is the longest Edge of Extinction that we've seen.
Yeah.
But while I was watching it, I was totally just captivated. It was genuinely moving. There was the other challenge at Edge of Extinction. They were talking about, oh, I don't want to go back up there to do the numbers again. And it was like, oh man, that must be a really hard hike up that hill. And then they had to do it 20 times. And when Natalie and Amber got down at the bottom and they were just genuinely just sobbing.
Yeah.
Like that's not something, that you could creatively edit and be like, oh, look how tired they are. Right. Ethan fainted. They had the medical staff having to attend to him. and then
Danny's just making jokes.
Danny totally failing to read the room. She's like, Amber and Natalie are sobbing on the ground. She's like, "Woo,
Yeah.
way to go,
We're-
me."
No, Danny, no, read the room.
No.
No, I completely agree with you, Steve. It wasn't just an emotionally and physically taxing, journey for Ethan. Natalie and Amber, they definitely went through it as well. I mean, I honestly can't say that I know what they're experiencing because that was something that was specific and different for each of them. But it was emotional to watch them come to the realizations that, going through this process, it helped them or made them realize something about themselves and how strong they were.
And like when the girls came with Ethan for his last one.
I was
Oh
going to say
my
that the
gosh.
support that
That
they
was-
showed each other.
Yeah.
I mean,
Beautiful.
it's a
Awesome.
competition show. Like, you have to remember that they're playing for $2 million. So for these women or these people in general, just to support each other in that way, it gives me goosebumps. I mean, it's really touching.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
I loved it. It's
I-
just,
I loved it too. I was not mad at the Edge of Extinction segment this time.
A couple of things. I just want to
Yes.
shout out Thomas McGee in the chat who's saying, I would have done for one fire token at beach just sitting around. And then shout out to Ryan B who is saying, I would have been like Amber and Natalie breaking down after they finished. That challenge was rough.
Yeah.
I completely agree. It was a very rough challenge. And one thing too I want to just touch on real quick about Edge of Extinction. I like the fact that this was a challenge for everyone to get a fire token. Because in the past we've kind of seen it be like a challenge. Like there's one fire token and you just have to be the one to solve the challenge the quickest.
Yes. Right.
This was an opportunity for everybody, and I kind of liked that because, it's like it's just kind of nice to see everybody get that chance.
Yeah.
And Natalie's still a millionaire on Edge.
yeah.
Speaking of a millionaire on Edge, Natalie is also a beast on Edge of Extinction. I mean,
Yes.
she is just, we know that she's a CrossFit trainer, but even CrossFit trainers or like, people who specialize in like weightlifting or body training or professional trainers, when they do like a ballet class or like a Zumba class, they're like, this is actually really hard. So it's fascinating seeing these people who you would think are like, extremely fit and extremely athletic and they could do anything. And then they do something like this and it's like, wow, this is really, really hard. And you're just climbing up and down stairs.
Yeah. Oh my God. And I'm jumping ahead here, but I have to say, the impact of this and the emotion that was there made it so great at the end when Tyson was like, at the credits roll when he goes to Edge and he goes, "Man, you guys got a lot of fireworks."
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
That
I
was
was
the best.
dying.
That was the
It was
best.
the perfect setup for that punchline.
Yeah.
Oh my
And then their
God.
face is like, oh, you have no idea. So that Edge of Extinction, I was really happy to see that segment. I'm excited to see if any other segments are that. I hope that they have more challenges like that, like you said, Veronica, where everybody has the opportunity to win a fire token and not just like one person. So hopefully they build on that. Hopefully they see the audience response that was positive to it. Let's get back to Sele, day 11. Adam once again is, getting water for everyone. He's not just doing an apology tour at this point. He's making soup for everyone. He's getting water for everybody. And Rob and Poverty, who now feel like they're on the bottom of the tribe, which I think is really funny and extremely ironic, they want to try to, recruit Adam or bring him in. And Adam is like, oh, no, I'm not going to do this. We've talked about Veronica on the show before, season after season, never shut a door. Do you think that Adam shutting this door, because he was like, no, I don't want to do this, and like walks away really quickly. Do you think because he shut that door very quickly and wasn't like entertaining to the idea, or even showing that he was entertaining to the idea, is the reason why Rob went behind his back and lied about him?
No, I think, it's tough because I agree. Never shut a door. I think Adam right now sees that he's super on the bottom, and the reason he's on the bottom is because he did go behind his original alliance's back and talk to, the old schoolers. I think Rob just doesn't trust Adam, and I think he's doing whatever he can just to blow up Adam's game so that him and Parvati aren't the targets.
Totally.
But I honestly could have seen, if Adam wanted to jump ship, I could see him doing that as well if he had the numbers.
Yeah.
I think Rob saw someone who was not on his side, and he's like, Adam is down, and I'm just gonna kick him. I'm gonna push him down a little bit deeper because the farther down he goes, the more higher up I go.
That's a good point, and it's not past Boston Rob to do something like that. I mean, he's done worse.
No, I don't know that he sold the his lie like super hard. I'm not sure if they bought it, and we didn't get to see it too much
But I don't
more
think
politics.
Jeremy and Michelle needed that much. I mean, they already see Adam as like this weaselly character, or somebody who would flip flop.
And they spread it to Ben, so
exactly. So
yeah.
I don't think that they needed much, and
yeah.
Rob knew that. That's what makes him a smart player.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
true.
think they did buy it, and like you said, it didn't take much.
Yeah.
So Tyson and Sarah on Dakal are also forming an interesting bond, which was really endearing to see because it's nice to see players get deeper connections on the island, and it's always really interesting to see when it's unexpected, because I never expected Tyson and Sarah to be working together. You see Sarah and Tony, they're both cops, you know, and so you would expect them to be together, but Tyson and Sarah, I was like, is there like a little flirting thing going on? I didn't know.
I loved them together. They were hilarious. I think that Sarah is much funnier than a lot of her like pieces to camera. You know, she's usually pretty straightforward.
And intense.
Yeah, but then like I, you know, see the tweets from like other players and they're like, oh my God, Sarah was so hilarious out there. So I think that that was really cool to see that sort of fun-loving side of Sarah, which we saw a little bit when she was on her mission with Tony, putting the ashes on her face.
Boy.
So yeah, that was pretty cool to see. And I love watching he's just hilarious. He's just so cracking wise the whole time.
Speaking of Tyson, he's also trying to do his little strategic gameplay as well by going to Sandra and Tony and, you know, saying, you know, there are people who don't have connections, and they're going to target the people who do.
The sad thing is he's so right.
I know he's right, but he's going to do you think he went to the wrong people?
See, here's the thing. He did not go to the wrong people, in my opinion. I think he was definitely getting together with the people who had connections, the people who would be targets to get on his side. What he made the mistake of was going against Sandra. Because what Sandra wants, Sandra gets.
Always.
She wants a bench, she got a bench.
Oh, we're
I
going to
was
talk about
just
that
gonna
in a
say,
second.
I got to give props to Yule on that move, because he planted that seed in Sandra on episode 1, I believe.
That is true.
And that's paying dividends now. I mean, and the thing is, Sandra is so laser focused. You know, she I don't want to say she has a one-track mind, but in her strategy, she really does.
Yes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was like, Tyson, you threw my name out there. Well, guess what? We're done.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah.
So, you know, credit to Yule for a game, you know, a play that he made days ago that is now coming into fruition. But Tyson had the alliances picked out perfectly. He knew exactly where he analyzed really what was going on, and he was correct.
Yeah, no, he was absolutely right. Before we get to the immunity challenge and reward challenge, I'm going to shoot it over to Veronica, and she's going to give you some words.
Yeah, what's up, all of my tribe mates? Thank you so much for tuning in every week. Obviously, it's even great, you know, we don't even do this show on Survivor Wednesdays, but we love the fact that you tune in with us on Thursdays anyway. And so, you know what? What we would even love for you more is to like this video, give us a thumbs up, and if you are listening to us on the radio, not the radio, on Apple Podcasts, yeah,
Spotify,
iTunes, all that good stuff, give us a 5-star rating, because you know 1 through 4 don't work.
Nope.
But whatever you are, get involved in the conversation. Please talk to us about this show, because we are super emotional and we love it all. And there's a lot to talk about this season, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in every week.
Thank you, Veronica. We love you guys. Everybody in the chat right now. I know Veronica did some shout outs earlier, but do you want to do some more really quick?
I do. I just want to shout out Ryan B again, who is saying Yule is number 1. Yule is number 1. Yes!
Oh, yes.
I love Yule.
We got some Yule fans
we
in the chat.
We know I love you, Yule. Shout out to Victorious 200567, Eric Olin, Sloss Pop, Joseph Boza, Josh Sheldon, Ryan B, Meredith, and Thomas McGee, and Sheena123, Yesenia, Adam. There are so many of you in here. We just thank you so much for joining us and staying involved in the conversation.
Yes, thank you guys. We love you guys. So let's get to this immunity challenge, okay? Really unexpected, very close. So essentially this immunity challenge, 4 tribe mates are attached to a boat, 3 inside, they pull it to a tower, they retrieve keys, these keys go to a puzzle, they have to put the puzzle together. Now, Dakal pretty much sets out, and they get very far very quickly. Let's say that. Sele on the other side, unfortunately, it pretty much rested on Adam in this moment, because he was the only one who could pretty much reach the key. Now, Poverty and Denise were the ones that were inside of the boat, and Poverty was useless. Denise wasn't even jumping for keys. So, you know, Sele kind of got like left behind because they couldn't reach these keys.
Well, Denise made 1 jump.
I mean, that we saw, but
that was, I think, poor planning. They didn't put anybody in the boat who had any
vertical momentum.
Yeah, or maybe somebody who's a little taller. And so it all came on Adam's shoulders. Who, you know, if somebody needed a boost, like, you know, to sort of get them back in the good graces of the tribe, you know, like you got to give Adam credit where credit is due.
True.
But oh man, when they were just like falling out of it. This was my face. I was just.
I know.
Yeah, I
A
feel you.
blowout challenge, and they're going back to tribal council, and then it came back.
I could not believe this challenge because I had very similar emotions. I was like, great, another blowout challenge. You know, Sele has gone to tribal the last couple of weeks. We know the pecking order on that tribe already. Like, I wanted to see some strategy from the Dakal side.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my gosh, another blowout challenge. And I felt so bad for Adam kind of before we saw the end result because he's so on the bottom. He was trying so hard at camp to like get on everybody's good side. And he was put in the most difficult position, which was trying to get those keys. So had they lost, it would have been very sad to see him go because he was trying so hard that entire episode, and that would have maybe been his fate. So I was just, I'd never give up. Like, I could not believe that challenge.
If anybody needed this win, it was definitely Adam.
Yes.
And I'm proud of him. I'm glad that he was able to, overcome these obstacles. And we see it season after season with these people who think that they can't do something, and then they do it. And it's always really, really nice to see. So Sele winds up winning. After Adam gets these keys, Rob and Michelle are on the puzzle. Once again, we're like, why is Rob on the puzzle?
Props to Rob.
But props to Rob. I have to give it to him. We have to give props to Adam. We have to give props to Rob.
They dominated that puzzle.
Dominated that puzzle. Rob and Michelle, I don't know how they did it so fast, but apparently, Dakal, they made a mistake. They had to take off all the puzzle pieces, and that's what set them behind, giving Sele the opening to take the lead and win. So, I mean, they won. Congratulations. They also get the 4 chickens. We'll probably see them kill them soon. It's very sad. I wouldn't probably do that, but you know what? I don't know. I'm not starving on an island for 39 days. So that's just me. But yes, I'm glad that Sele won because we want to see more strategic, gameplay from these players on Dakal, and they really haven't had that opportunity. Even though without them going to tribal, they're still making plans. Sandra, Tony, I mean, they're still talking about, things to happen when they don't even go to tribal. Do you guys think that them talking about gameplay, and I already know what you're going to say, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Them talking about, I do.
Do you know?
I do. Them talking about gameplay before they even head to tribal, because we know that this game changes on a day-to-day basis, is premature. Do you think that they should wait until after tribal to start talking strategy and who they're going to vote out?
What do you mean after tribal?
After the challenge. Sorry, my fault. Do you think that we should wait for after the challenge to see if they even win immunity or not to talk about who they're going to possibly send home? Because don't you think that they're going to be ruffling a little bit of feathers? Like, why would I say Steve is going home before the tribal when we not even might even go to tribal? And now if Steve hears that I want to send him home, now I'm on Steve's.
That's true. Yeah, you could have shown your cards a little early.
Right.
Yeah. I think that this was actually a good example of how this tribe hasn't had to go to tribal council that much, so they had kind of one sort of quote-unquote easy vote, and then they didn't really nobody wanted to show their cards, to use that analogy again, and this tribal was another example of that, because Sophie made reference to, right now we want to sort of stay together, heading towards the merge, even though they all know that they're not really one big happy tribe. Right. And that was sort of like when Nick was like, I just want you to know, if we go to the merge, I'm with y'all. And everyone's like, yeah, me too.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this vote, rather than risk splitting the vote and it's like, oh, my 5 beat your 4 or whatever, and now we know where the line is drawn, I think people wanted to sort of hold their cards a little closer and say, let's just go with the unanimous vote. And so heading into a possible tribe swap, which we see we're going to be doing next week, and I think that this tribal council was setting up for the next event in the game. Yeah. And that's why people are like, we don't want to show exactly where our alliance lies, because if there is a tribe swap, then everything gets mixed up. People know who I'm allied with. And so I think this is sort of holding back your strategy.
Yeah. No, that's smart. Yeah. Veronica, what do you think?
No, I think that's a very smart point. Yeah, because as we kind of see, no one necessarily wants to be, the first one to throw out ideas. No one wants to be seen as the leader or, being the one who's playing aggressively or whatever you say it. So I think that was a very great point. But I think that the game is always moving. Things are always being said. You should never wait until you lose a challenge to kind of know how you want to play, because then that's where scrambling comes in. You might want to feel a little bit more secure in how you're going to vote.
Yes.
I thought that Tyson's pitch to Tony was actually a really strong sell.
It was.
I kind of was buying it a little bit. I was like, I think Tyson might be right. Number one, he's right about the the new schoolers just sort of, they act like they're not really connected, but they actually are. And he's like, if I go home, then it's going to be you, Tony, and then it's going to be Sarah, and then it's going to be you, Sandra. And a lot of it hinged on whether or not Sandra was going to buy it, but she was never going to buy it, which is unfortunate. And Tony, I think, was like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I don't want to lose Tyson because he's a shield. And everyone's talking about shields this week. And another example of why I think this tribal council was actually a play for the long game was that people were worried Tyson, who has connections to Boston Rob
and the other tribes,
and Parvati and other people, that was going to come into play if there was a tribe swap.
Or a tribe swap,
yeah. So I think this was part of the long game.
No, I thought what was also interesting is right after the challenge, they have to go back and obviously the strategy starts to take place. Tyson wants to originally target Nick because his argument is, Nick didn't do very well in the challenge and, he doesn't do anything around camp. Those are like
very old school reasons to get rid of someone.
Very early reasons, like in this season, even if you don't do anything around camp or you don't contribute, then that's an early reason to get you sent home. And in this season, that's
a non-strategic reason.
Yes, I completely agree with you. It's a non-strategic reason, and I thought that it was a little naive for Tyson to do that, and it only put a target on his back because the people that he talked to are like, okay, yes, bring up a good point by he could be a shield, but at the same time, Sandra never trusted Tyson because of what he did in the beginning of the game to her by voting for her and trying to get her out. So Tyson and Tony, they have this conversation about, would you rather take Nick if he's not a threat, or would he rather take Tyson out because he would be a shield? In this position, who would you do? Would you take out Nick, who's not a threat, and it's not your name, so who cares? Or would you take out Tyson because he is a threat, but also you could use him as a shield? It's like this.
I think I would still take out Tyson. And I feel like that's kind of Sandra's mentality too. Obviously the fact that, she's saying, oh, he's coming at me. But I think that for Sandra, I'm just going to use Sandra in this instance.
Yes.
There are other shields. She has Tony. She has Sarah. There's always going to be someone who's a shield for someone.
Yes. And you don't necessarily, to interrupt you, you don't necessarily know if the tribe is going to stay together because there could be a tribe swap at any minute. So that shield who you thought you had could possibly be gone next week without having voting them out. Yeah. It could be on a completely different tribe.
And Tyson could be a potential ally to Rob, who Sandra also has beef against.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking about this from Tony's perspective, I think if I was Tony, I probably would have tried to push a little harder. And I think the reason why they didn't go along with Tyson's plan is because it would have fractured the tribe.
You mean to vote out Nick?
To vote out Nick, yeah. Although when Nick showed his vote for Kim, maybe I'm doing the numbers wrong here, but I thought he might have voted himself out almost. If the other players had gone with Tyson's plan, it would have been like 5 against Nick, 4 against Tyson, and 1 against Kim. Somebody in the comments, call me out if I'm being an idiot, but I think there was when I was watching it, and I'm like, wait a minute, if they have gone along with Tyson's plan, then he just voted himself out rather than it goes to a tie and then they vote over again.
Yeah.
But there was some complicated numbers going on there.
That's what we kind of enjoy about having the tribal, or talking about tribal and not having so many things foreshadowed, is that who knows how Kim's name came up? Who knows why Nick voted for Kim? Yeah. It was just very odd and out there.
He voted for her because he was so paranoid that Tyson would have a hidden immunity.
I think that was a paranoid vote.
I went into that tribal thinking Tyson's going home. I was fairly certain Tyson was going home just because of kind of the way, again, putting all of my faith in Sandra.
Yes.
But once Nick did the Kim vote, I was like, maybe it's going to be Nick and he's going to do it to himself because he was so paranoid and he might end up with enough votes because the vote was split. But yeah, I just thought that was a weird vote. But things happen and
people do get paranoid. He is a pretty new player. It's not like he's played this game so many times.
Right.
And to just throw a vote at Kim, I don't know. That might have he might have showed a side that he might not have wanted to show, because Kim was possibly one of the people who would have voted against him, and now she's like, wait, why would he throw my name out there of everybody else? Why me?
I don't know. It's things to think about. I really do want to talk about Sandra really quick, because Sandra's been playing this bench game.
Bench queen, yes.
Yes, bench queen. I don't know, and I'm glad Parvati called her out on it, because I feel like it's like a running game now. It's like, wait, why does she get to sit
yeah,
out
and,
every
and 2
tribal?
challenges in a row. I thought that was against the rules.
I thought that was against the rules also.
Come
but
on,
even
Probst.
even at tribal council, she says, as long as it's not me, I will do anything. That shouldn't sit well with her alliance members.
It's crazy because Sandra has this ability where it's like she knows she is not a physical competitor. She would hold them back in the challenges. And they know that when they get to emerge, she, once again, is not a physical competitor, so she could get out whenever because she probably won't win an individual immunity. So is she a threat? Yes, because that's how she gets to the end, and that's how she wins $2 million and probably another $2 million. But people are just, at this point, afraid of people who can do well in all aspects.
Yes.
And when she changed her strategy, her 3rd time playing, and I'm the queen and I'm calling the shots, she went home.
Got voted out.
So maybe she's like, okay, I'm going back with what works.
Yes, no, I completely agree with you. Let's talk about this tribal really quick. We've hinted at it throughout the episodes. What I really liked about this tribal was that they really started getting to the nitty-gritty of who they're actually playing with. They talked about, being starstruck. Sandra apparently does not get starstruck. She's the queen. Why would you? But I just think it was funny how, Nick looked up to Tyson and, everybody else on the tribe who, looks at people, Yul and Tony, they have these preconceived notions
And a
of
big old crush on Parvati.
And a big old crush on
I
Parvati.
know.
There's crushes. There are people who think that these are bad people or not nice people, and they are. It's very interesting because we as viewers have to see them as viewers too. They weren't on the same season, so they were probably looking at them and going like, "Oh my gosh, I love this player as well. I can respect how they play their game," and now they're playing with them. So I'm glad that Jeff kind of hinted at that or brought that up as a topic because it's fun to know that these people look at them like we look at them.
Yeah, and I think that's an advantage to the old schoolers because the old schoolers aren't starstruck. They've been around this Survivor community for a long time. They know each other in real life. And we always talk about the advantage of the new schoolers. They know how to work the new advantages and all this other stuff. So I think that's cool to show that there is another aspect of this game and that actually plays in favor of the old school players.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Yes, you agree. She completely
Yes.
agrees, you guys. So Tyson went home. I mean, we saw the votes. Would you say that Tyson was an old school or new school? Right?
I think
It's tough. Yeah, he was right there in the middle.
I don't know. I would say old school.
I would consider Tyson an old school player because he has ties to Boston Rob,
Yes.
and he has ties to Sandra, who are considered old school players.
That's a good point.
his
So-
first season was 18, so
Yeah.
I'll consider him an old school
That's
player.
very true. Yeah, let's go with old 20. Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah. Okay, so he's an old school. So old school got voted out, which balances the old school, new school kind of in their favor. I'm excited to see what happens. I mean, Tyson gave his fire token to Nick, which is nice to see because Nick so looked up to him, and we saw how
Yeah.
those votes turned out.
I think it also shows how much of a good player Tyson is in that, like, he
Yes.
respects good gameplay, and it's like, hey, you outsmarted me on this one.
Yes.
But another side of Tyson that I love is he's so sarcastic that the first time he played, he was way too cool for school. He was just like, I'm above this. And then the second time he played, he was like really, really into it.
Yeah.
And now that I think that he's won and he's sort of kind of chill and just sort of playing. So he's like, you know what, Nick? Good game, buddy. And
Yeah.
of course, there was a little bit of sarcasm there.
Of
like,
course.
oh yeah, I'm your hero.
Yeah. Well, he's not
I'd
out.
rather
out.
swallow it.
Exactly. Well, he's not out. I mean, none of these people are out just yet. I mean,
Yeah.
there's Edge of Extinction where he's going, so he has a chance to play and get his way back into the game. Let's do our special segment because that is our recap of that. So our special segment, MVP of the episode. Who do you think your MVP was this episode?
Ethan.
Ethan?
It was definitely Ethan.
Okay.
'Cause he also would have been my MVP of the last episode.
Okay. That's fair.
I gotta go with Tony on this one. I think that Tony was sort of on the fence as to go with Tyson's plan or not. And although we didn't get to see that, I have a really strong feeling that Tony was influential in saying, let's stick with Nick.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to go with Veronica as well. Ethan just pulled out my heartstrings in this episode,
Yeah.
so I have to say Ethan was my MVP. Let us know who your MVP was as well, you guys. We're going to pull up our fantasy draft really quickly, you guys, because apparently I am out 2 people. Veronica is out 2 people.
Oh, boy.
Michael is still in the game.
How?
Jonathan is down to 1 person, but like I said, you guys, we still have somebody coming back from Edge of Extinction, so this could all change. We don't know.
And I'm just sitting pretty on the bench
And you
over
are
here.
just sitting
I'm
pretty
the
on the
bench
bench,
queen.
Steve. You are Sandra. Yes, so that is our fantasy draft, you guys. Let us know who you is in your fantasy draft. Let us know who you think has the strongest fantasy draft. Just because Michael has the most people
Does not-
still in the
does
game
not mean
does not
we
mean he
will
has the
win.
strongest team, you guys.
No.
Yes, so me and Veronica are out 2 people as of now. So this happened last season too, you guys. Me and Veronica were down most of our players very early, and Mike started losing his players, and we were all down to 1 person in the finale. So
That's what matters.
Stay tuned to see what happens with that. Veronica,
just-
anything in the chat?
Yeah, just some MVPs. Royal 16 MVP is Natalie. Eric is saying MVPs Ethan and Adam. Ryan B MVPs Ethan and Adam. Victorious is saying Natalie is a beast and MVP. Nathan is saying MVP Rob. There's so many reasons everyone could be an MVP this season.
Agreed. Yes, we love hearing your MVPs, you guys. We're going to keep that segment going throughout the season. That is our review and our fantasy draft. Like I said, let us know who's in your fantasy draft. Who do you think has the strongest fantasy draft out of the 3 of us? Sorry, Steve. But we are going to close out. You guys, let us know where the fans can find you all.
Yeah, you can find me, Veronica Valencia, on Twitter and Instagram at it's me, Veronica_V.
Find me everywhere at Stevie G on TV.
And I am Timothy Michael. You can find me everywhere at I am Timothy Mike. We will see you guys next Thursday, 7 p.m. See you guys then.
See ya.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.